8 looks good. Is it check? 96 queen g8. Check, 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 check. It's a staircase, right? Yeah, it's a staircase. Check, 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 and knight f8.
Now, who doesn't want to be a freaking chess tactical genius? I swear it isn't as difficult as it seems, as most of it boils down to pattern recognition. But to prove it, today we're gonna go over a classic puzzle rush session, so I can guide you through my thought process and hopefully make you better at spotting tactics. Now, I'm gonna try to get to 50 in about 15 minutes, but yeah, anyone can do this with a little bit of practice. It's nothing amazing. So let's get into this. Now, these first puzzles are pretty self-explanatory. They're literally made for beginners. For example, here, literally the rook is hanging, and if we take the rook, this is literally checkmate. Here, again, it's a very similar principle. If we give a check, the king here is dead. Here, it's literally the same, but we have a rook here, so if we put the other rook, this is also checkmate. Same thing here, but we have the king guarding the escape square, so not a lot to talk about. Here, again, if we give a check, now the queen restricts all the squares. This is checkmate all the same. Now, this is getting a little bit more sophisticated, but nothing crazy. Here the king is also completely boxed in, so if we just check, it's just game over. And now, it's the same principle, but slowly but surely it's getting a bit more complicated. For example, here, the first moves we should consider are, I know it's super cliche, but you have to consider the most forcing moves first. If they don't work, then you can start considering other options. But here, the most forcing moves are either to exchange queens, after which white trades and there's nothing happening, or we take here with check. And if we take here with check, obviously we have the rook protecting, so the king can't take. But then the king goes to the corner, and now we can apply the same principle and checkmate the king back here. So yeah, the key point is just please focus on forcing moves. If you focus on forcing moves, usually good things will happen. Now here we can spot that we have a very nice battery here on this diagonal, so we can just checkmate here with the queen. And yeah, I'll speed up a bit now because these are pretty similar. So here we can see that if we check the king has to go back, and then we can checkmate the king. Always, these are always forcing moves most of the time. Now here it's not checkmate, but we can see that if we look at forcing moves again, checks, captures, attacks, we spot this very nice fork here. The king is attacked, the queen is attacked. We just pick up the queen. Here we can check, we can look at checks. We have this check, we have this check, and yeah, if we check with the rook, king has to go here. Now the queen hops in. This is just checkmate. Here this is also checkmate in one. Again, I'll speed up a bit now, but see, it's forcing moves. I swear, you just have to recognize the patterns. Here we gave a check and the bishop had to block, and then we would just take. Now here the king doesn't have a lot of space, so again we start considering the checks. We have this very nice looking knight check here. King has to go to f8. Then the bishop comes in, and you can see that everything here is cut off, so again, this is checkmate. Here we can exchange rooks, and if we could only move the pawn one square forward, we'd be pretty sad here. But fortunately, the pawn can move 2 squares. Here, I think we just pick up the rook and make a queen. I don't think we need to worry a lot. Now here the king looks like it's really in a weird spot here, so perhaps we can look at, guess what, forcing moves to exploit this bad position. We see we have this very nice check here, which restricts the king a lot. We also have this pawn here, and the king is forced here, so then we can just take the rook, and perhaps, yeah, perhaps just exchange the queens and just win the game. Okay, seems good to me. Now here we have this pretty looking check here. The king again is in a really messy situation, so if he goes back we just take the rook. If he blocks we can just take, because we also have the knight here. So let's just go for that. Alright, now here another very common pattern is this one, where we just give a discovered check. We can maybe use this diagonal. Again, forcing moves. It's always forcing moves, usually in these types of early tactics. You can see that if we take our knight here, blocking the escape squares, it obviously gives a check by the queen. But if the king moves, we can just kill him. That's pretty good. And if he just blocks, we can just take the pieces. So yeah. Now here, like before, the king is just completely boxed in. So if we give a check, this is just checkmate. Here it's the same thing, but with the king. We can see there's just a very convenient box here. So I'll try to speed it up because we have 9 minutes and we have 30 more puzzles. So there's an hanging rook here. If we take the rook, king cannot go up, so bishop has to block. Then I guess we can check, attacking the king and the queen. Again, 2 forcing moves in a row. Most of them are forcing moves. I cannot stress that enough. And the bishop won't be able to take the knight since it's pinned, so I think this is just it. Okay. Now here... Okay, here we would really like that the king wouldn't be protecting this rook. Then we could simply take it. But since this isn't the case, let's try to force it. If we take this bishop, the black has to take with the pawn, otherwise we take the rook. But then we can just give it a little nudge to the king here, and yeah, we can just take the rook. So pretty cool stuff. Now here we can set up a pattern like before, where we box in the king. For example, if we give a check, the king just goes up. So let's prepare that idea. Put our king here. He's completely safe here. And now we can just check and the king is dead. So that's pretty cool. Now here we can consider a forcing move. Who would have thought? The rook here is pinned, so king has to go up, but then we can just take. King goes here, and if there's something like check here, king is just completely dead. So I don't think there's anything better. Okay, we'll basically force the king into the open, and yeah. Now here the most forcing move is taking the horse. It seems stupid, but if after the king takes, there's a perfect fork here in the middle of the board. So yeah, again, forcing moves. Now here, I would love that this knight wouldn't be here, so then we can just take the bishop and win the game. So let's do that. We can play knight h3, giving a check. If bishop takes, then we take here, and if the king moves, we just take the bishop. So yeah, nothing crazy. Here we just gave our queen, and yeah, we need to do something fast, so let's look at forcing moves. We can give a check. We see that if the king goes up, we have another check here, and this is just checkmate. Now here the black king is pretty hopeless in the back rank, but if we give a check, black just blocks. So let's give a check here, and then just a check here. Knight goes back, and we give a check here. Okay, so now I really gotta speed it up. So if we, I think let's oh god, let's push our pawns. Yeah, that seems, yeah, let's push our pawns and make a queen. If we push the other pawn, the rook could stop it. So here I don't understand. There's a queen here for free. I'm just gonna take a free queen. I'm not that picky. Here we're almost checkmating black here, so let's try to move our king to safety. He doesn't have any checks. Okay, that's cool. here I think we just check the king. King has to go here. We wanted to make a queen, but it just takes, so let's eliminate the defender. King takes, and then we make a queen. I think that should be about right. Okay, so what's happening here? Okay, so I would love that this rook wasn't here, so that oh, never mind, we just, okay, so again, you just have to look at the right forcing move. If we trade queens, you can just take because of the rook. So is there a move that is able to deflect the rook that's protecting the queen? Yes, there is. We can give a check here, and the king cannot take because the queen guards. So he's forced to take with the rook, but then the queen just falls. So yeah, let's just go for that. Okay, now in this position, our bishop is attacked, but look at the king here. The king is almost in shambles. So if we take this pawn, I'm not seeing any direct forcing move that works. For example, bishop check doesn't seem to do anything. Queen check, it just blocks. So perhaps we just take the pawn with the idea of pushing. That would be checkmate. So we probably will take, but then we take, threatening checkmate. He probably has to take, but then we take the rook. So I think, yeah, that's about right. Now here, there's our knight and rook pointing at this horsey here. So why can't we just take it? Okay, there's a check here, but this is too tempting, no? Okay, that is too tempting, and I fall for it. I have 3 minutes. Okay. Okay, so here the king is. There has to be a way to kill the king here. Okay, we can just check, force the king down. Maybe give another check. King has to go here, and then finally we give another check, and the king cannot go to a3 because of the rook, so it's just completely boxed in. Now here, if we push our pawn, super forcing move. If knight takes, this opens a very nice square for our queen here, and if king takes, we can give a check, and then give a check with our rook, and this seems to work. So yeah. Okay, so now here the king is just completely boxed in. We give a check, and this is just checkmate because of the pawn, right? Okay. Now what's happening here? I guess we can play knight here, trying to get the bishop, and he cannot protect because the knight covers this, and he cannot give a check because the knight covers this. So yeah, seems about right. Now if we take with the rook, king here and attacks our knight, attacks our rook, and it's going to be even again. So perhaps taking here. And if here, yeah, I saw that we can play here. This is a bit tricky, but if we go here, we defend the rook, and if he takes, we just take his rook. So okay, now what's happening here? We clearly have a very tempting option here. Question is, do we have better? Now if we take with the bishop, with the queen, king goes here, and I don't think we have anything. If we take with the pawn, with the bishop, king goes here, we take, queen takes, and I think we're just better. So I was thinking here, playing rook here, trying to get the knight, to put pressure on the knight, since the knight can't move, otherwise the queen falls. So okay, now here we would like that the queen wasn't here, so we could take the rook. Oh god, my time is running out, but Honestly, it doesn't make sense that I'm rushing this fast to explain these things, so I'll just take a little bit more. So, okay. Let's look at forcing moves. Let's try to advance our pawn and open some lines and see what happens. If we push our pawn, what does this threaten? Absolutely nothing. If he takes, I guess our queen can get in. No, but it seems about right. Okay, gives a check. If we block, it takes. If we block with the rook, he has something weird like this. So, because now, yeah. So I think we just block with the queen, and if queen takes, he has to move the rook. So something like, I don't know, something like here. But then we just push. So okay, he gave the rook. Right, it was all about pushing the pawn. If he had taken our pawn, the king would be just too weak. So here, as often is the case in these puzzles, the king is a bit in a weird spot here. We have a lot of pieces here. So maybe just maybe we can play something like this, no? If we play this, queen comes here. So, oh, but if, oh no, never mind. If we play this, we threaten checkmate, and all the way down the board, we also threaten to go in. So that seems about right. If he pushes, I guess, okay, we can go here. And if he takes, we can come here, here, and this is just checkmate. So it probably will block. But now we just win a rook, right? And then also target the bishop. So okay, that seems correct. Now here we see that again we have this very tempting line to explore. If we gave a check here, this is a double check, right? So the king is literally forced to move. The king doesn't have really a lot of options. This square is taken. This square is taken by the queen, so king has to go here. But then we can just go in with the queen and oops, here. And this is just game over. So okay, this is kind of a common puzzle, but I think this is basically we have to make sure the king is stuck here, so we checkmate him with the knight. So let's see. If we go here, king has literally no moves, so pawn has to be pushed. We cannot take the pawn, then it's just stalemate. So here, and now we have to make sure the knight lands here. So here, here, because we would love to play this, but this is, if we take this is stalemate. So oh, we go down and we lose a tempo, of course, because then he has to push, and we just I was only looking at knight moves, and yeah, see here in such an endgame we have so little options that it's still easy to miss some of them. Okay, so here again the king is out in the open. We have a queen very near to the king. So what about this check here? Let's see. The king is almost dead, so he literally only has one square. Then we can guess push our pawn. So here. King literally has to go here. But then we can push our other pawn, and the queen has to give itself, and I think this is kind of good for us. So oh, and now we take the pawn, and this comes with a check. which is important. Otherwise, white promotes here. Okay. So now there's a very cool diagonal here that looks promising. I mean, the king will probably have to go here after the check. Then we can, if we go in, king is kind of escaping. So maybe we check, king goes here, we give a check here, and after he blocks, we go in. So that seems about right. Okay. Now what about this one? What about this one? A lot of forcing moves to consider here. So if we take here, black just takes. So what about other checks? So if we check here, king just runs, and I don't think we have a lot there. So what about this check? If the king runs, okay. If the king runs, we can check here. He's forced to take because the knights here completely restrict the king. So if the king runs, we can check and checkmate here. But if he takes, you can obviously not take with the bishop since it's pinned. But if he takes, we can just take here, and after the king moves, we can just checkmate. So I think that's all the options covered. Okay, we can now sacrifice the rook and checkmate back here. The patterns are getting a little bit harder to spot, but still, if you spend, even if you never saw them, I still believe if you spend some time, you can get a lot of them. So, okay, let's see here. We're down a piece, but his king is in the shit here. So, what if we give a check? We give a check. We give a check. He goes here. Then maybe we take. And this is checkmate here. There's no way to stop. So if we give a check, he's not going here. Instead, maybe he will go here. But then we take this pawn, and this checkmate is unstoppable. Again, we corral the king here. So that seems about right. And same thing if he had gone to the corner. So that seems cool. Now, okay. This one, this bishop, there's some tension here. Okay, in between the bishops. So perhaps we can play queen here, and yeah, try to win the bishop, because the bishop won't be able to move. He doesn't seem to have a clear way to protect it. So queen here is my final option. I don't think there's really a lot to explore. Knight here probably just takes. We gotta explore this weakness here. Yeah, but if he pushes the pawn, can just take here. Okay. Now again, like before, I immediately see this line here. I haven't looked at anything else. That's the first thing I see. Whenever you see a position, forcing moves. Always think forcing moves. Always, always, always. Okay. Check here. King has to go up on a move. Then we go in. King has to run. We can check here. King has to run. And the king has escaped. So we probably made a mistake. Okay, so this is the final puzzle. It's for the 50. This video is already gonna be way too long. But if we check, king goes here. I don't see it. I'm honestly not seeing it. We can give a check, but then the king just runs. Oh, and then we give a check here, it takes, and we check with the bishop, and it's completely boxed in. That's the idea here. So we give a check. Like I said, only move is to go here. But now, if you see, the king is completely just boxed in here. So if we could check him, that would be great. And indeed we can. We can check here and then open this line here. So the king is dead, and we've officially made our way to 50. I made a small mistake back there, but that's not the point. I'm not that good at the game, but you can be if you follow the tips I just gave you. I'm sorry for making such a long video, but hope you enjoyed and hope you learned a thing or two. So if you watched this far, please consider dropping a little like down there. Kind of helps. But yeah, catch you in the next one. Bye.